Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Dean Rogers. Today, I've got an interview with the owner of the CRM, Simply, Sharad Mehta. You don't want to miss it. He's got an interesting story about how he got into real estate and ended up developing the software Simply, which is CRM specifically for real estate investors that I use in my business and absolutely love. Let's get it. Hey, everybody, welcome today. I am Dean Rogers. Today, I have a special guest with us, Sharad Mehta, the owner of Simply and real estate investor. I'm super excited to have him on because I fangirl out all the time about Simply because we use it in our business and a huge fan of it and also a huge fan of Sharad. So thanks for joining us today, man.
Thank you for having me on this call, man. I know we've been trying to schedule this for like 3 weeks now, but with the whole COVID and I had COVID, I'm glad we're finally able to do this. So
yeah,
cool, man. Thank you for having me on the call. I'm excited.
For sure. Well, awesome, man. Yeah, today is just about you, man, just to showcase you and talk about you. You're a real estate investor. You're one of us, and you just had this burning desire and need in your business to create the CRM that you did Simply. So look forward to just kind of diving into that.
Yeah. So I live in Toronto, Canada, actually right outside of Toronto, Canada. But I do investing in Northwest Indiana. For anybody who's not familiar, it's right outside of Chicago, 30 to 45 minutes outside of Chicago. I used to live in Chicago for 10 years, so that's how I picked that market. We do fix and flip, we do wholesale, and I own rental properties, and I also own a property management company. So I started investing in 2010 is when I bought my first rental property, August of 2010.
So what got you into it, man? How did you know about real estate? How'd you want to do it?
It was passive income, man. It was just, I wanted to, I used to be an accountant. I was a CPA. I was working at one of the largest accounting firms, but, it was great. It was a great job, great money, but I wasn't enjoying the work. I wanted to kind of do something on my own. I started out doing stocks, investing in stocks. Believe it or not, I wanted to be a professional poker player, but thank goodness I didn't do that. Dude, I absolutely, I sucked, absolutely sucked.
Were you good? So you weren't good?
No, dude, I get very finicky, when there's like money on the line. It just,
Isn't that hilarious? I find that so comical. It's crazy. I'm the same way. So if you take me to a casino and you tell me to bet $100 in blackjack or something like that, I almost can't stomach it. It just seems like just too risky to me. Yet, I'll wire $100,000 to escrow to close on a deal immediately because I know it's a good deal.
I know. That's the thing. I think now, I left my job to do real estate investing full time, so I took like this huge risk. But it's like if I go to a casino and bet $100, like I just start freaking out. It's because I don't really control it.
100%. That's what it is.
I read books. I was like really into it. Like it was just crazy. It was just a phase of my life that I got really into it. Didn't lose too much money. But yeah, then I was investing in stocks. And with stocks, the thing was, I signed up for courses, all these, the penny stocks and whatnot. But the thing was, like, I was just checking the stock index every single day. And I'm like, yeah, this is not good for my heart. Then I happened to, I've also been a huge fan of like personal finance, Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. So I follow a lot of personal finance blogs and whatnot. So one day I was reading a blog somebody wrote about personal finance. I think it was Get Rich Slowly. That was the name of the blog. And, I went to the comment section because that's where all the fun is. And somebody posted a book about real estate investing. It's unbelievable how I got started. Somebody posted a book, and I think the name of the book was Flip. I think that was the name of the book. And then I bought that book. You know how on Amazon you get suggestions, and then one of the suggestions came up, millionaire real estate investor. And I'm like, you had me sold on millionaire.
That's all it took.
Ordered, yeah, that's all it took. I ordered that book and I really resonated with it. Like everything that I'd been doing, just like being too impatient and, couldn't stand looking at stocks every day. And then this book talked about, it takes time, but if you follow the process, you're going to get there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to just own the process. I'm going to follow it. And that's what I did. I kind of just started following that. Then at that time, I got very active on Bigger Pockets, it's like asking questions and whatnot. So that's how I got started. The goal was basically to get passive income. So for the first couple of years, all I did was buy rental properties. I didn't do any wholesaling, no fix and flip. So I bought my first property in 2010. I think in 2012, all I did was just buy rental properties. Do
you still own those properties that you bought in 2010?
Almost everything. Yeah, the one that I bought in 2010 through, I've only sold one rental property that I own, but everything else I've still kept.
So I don't know about the market in Indiana in terms of, appreciation. Well, I wouldn't use appreciation to appreciate, but increase in price and decrease in price over the last market crash. Because 2010 was pretty much at rock bottom. Were the prices dirt cheap there, and you wish you had bought more, or had they not gone?
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I had bought more. It's not like the values have, again, these are like lower end property. These are not like $200,000-$300,000 houses when I was buying. Like the first property I bought, it was listed on the market for 65 or 75, I believe. And I offered 20,000. I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody's going to say, no, that's okay. But they accepted at 22.5 or 25,000. Like, this is awesome. And it was a 2-unit property. I still own it, and it rents for about, and I put 10 to 12,000 into it. I think I was all in for about 35, and each unit rented for about 600 to 650. I'm like, dude, this is really good.
That's crazy.
I should do more of this. And then the next month I bought another 3-unit for 44, and I put like 10,000 into it. It was a 3-unit, and I was getting like 1,800 from it. And I'm like, even if, like, the way I was thinking was, the absolute worst case scenario is the property value is zero. Nobody wants to buy this. Right. Absolutely nobody. But as long as I'm getting rent on these, I don't really care, because they're going to pay for themselves in like 2-3 years. After that, I don't like really owe anything on these, or I don't have any money invested in it. So that was my philosophy. That was my thought process going into it. And I just kept buying more and more. In hindsight, I wish I had bought a lot more. Even like once the prices started going up in 2014-ish, 15-ish, I wish I just kept buying more and more and more, and just like stayed disciplined. But everything happens for a reason. But yeah, so I still own every single one except one that I sold.
Yeah, no one has a crystal ball. I remember I almost bought a house in 2017, and it was just literally the market had like slowed down, not declined, not a crash. It just slowed down, and it felt like, okay, we're kind of overdue for another market correction. Yep. It's been about a decade now, and history repeats itself. So I got scared. I was like, I'm backing out of this. So you can't help but kind of feel some of those things and make decisions without having that crystal ball. But so were you seeing maybe some of your clients as an accountant that were in real estate and some of these other things, or you just?
No, I was like, accounting stuff I was doing was for like these large companies like Morgan Stanley.
Okay.
I just wanted to do something outside of my job. It wasn't necessarily, I wasn't inspired by or motivated by real estate investing or whatnot. I just wanted to have control of my own destiny, of my own time and freedom. So, I wanted to make sure that, my wife and I talk all the time. Like we've traveled a lot. We've been to 5 continents, except Australia and Antarctica. We've been to every continent, like been to South America, Africa, done African safari. So, nice. That was really important for us, because once you have kids, then life gets busy. So it just, at that time, we really wanted to enjoy travel. The important thing for me was basically I wanted to have control on my time. That was the most important thing. It was like, if I look at whether it was playing poker, whether it was investing in stocks or doing real estate, the whole idea behind was I wanted to have control on my time. I didn't want anybody to tell me, hey, you need to show up, at 8 o'clock even though I get up at 5:30 every day,
Right.
But that's
your choice.
Yeah, it's my choice. It's nobody's asking me to get up early or stay late. So that was the reason behind it. And just real estate investing happened to be the choice that I ended up making. But like, I'm glad it wasn't poker, to be honest.
Dude, I remember those years. That was when, I mean, it still is big today, but that's when World Series of Poker was exploding.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Exploding.
I
Everybody
bought all
wanted to
the
be
books,
a poker
man.
star.
Dude, I bought all the books. I was like hooked to ESPN. I bought all those books and read through them, and it was crazy. And then, like, I remember then once I started looking into real estate investing, it's funny. I remember I wish I'd saved that. That you get a fortune cookie, that you get the fortune cookie. So I was trying to convince my wife. She's also an accountant. We're both working, had a nice job. And we're sitting at Panda Express, I remember, in Chicago, downtown, for lunch. And I said, look, I've been thinking about leaving my job. I think I should do it. The worst thing is I absolutely suck at it and I fail at it, and I tried for a year, but at least I would get it out of my system. Yeah. And I won't have this regret of not trying. So, and, she's like, no, I mean, she comes from a very conservative family. Like, her parents, for their entire life, they had the exact same job from the time they they just had one
job. And that
job.
generation.
Yeah, that was a different generation. Exactly. So, she comes from that. My dad, he never had a job. He kind of worked on his own. He's always had a business. So I think that was kind of was the inspiration behind it. But then we're sitting at Panda Express and we got the fortune cookie, and it said something along the line of, if you don't take the risk now, then when? It was something along the line. I'm like, come on, this has to mean something.
Dang,
so I convinced her, and then I'm like, look, the worst case is we absolutely, lose the money that I'm investing, but it's not going to affect our lifestyle too much. We have some savings. But the best case scenario is if everything works out, we have a pretty awesome life that we can look forward to. So, and then, the fortune cookie kind of helped nudge my wife along.
Yeah. It was a sign.
So, yeah, it was a sign. Yeah. So that's how I got started. I started buying a bunch of rental properties. Again, like, I'm a huge fan of Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman. So my wife and I, we lived on the lower of the two incomes, saved the higher income. So we had some money saved up. So first couple of properties we bought with cash. Then after that, my family invested some money, and then I partnered up with a private money lender. But I wanted the loan to be very aggressive in the sense we did 2-year balloon, 7-year amortization. So I was forced to make sure I was paying it back because I wanted to have those properties paid for free and clear. So the properties that I have, like 95% of them are paid for free and clear. I don't owe any mortgage, nothing. So that was the kind of freedom I wanted to have. That if I'm not doing anything, I'm not worried about money or anything like that. So that was the reason. Again, it's small little things that have a huge impact. Like it's the Dave Ramsey, like he's very much on, debt-free living and whatnot. So I think that had some influence on, my investing decision. I probably would have a much bigger portfolio if I was more comfortable taking on debt.
Sure.
But that's okay. I'm happy with that decision, because it allowed me to focus on ReSimply, and I wasn't like worried about, making these mortgage or whatnot if the market was going up or down.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool, man. That's impressive. I mean, most people can't say that they got 95% of their debt paid off, and that means your cash flow's got to be pretty sick. So that's awesome, man. And you got in on a lot of these at great prices.
Exactly.
And that market seems, in Indiana continues to improve. It's got a lot of universities there, a lot of jobs, and
it's definitely
more people talking about it.
It's definitely gone up. There's a lot more competition from other investors. I don't have any plans to sell, but in 2014 or 15, I think I was on a Bigger Pockets podcast, just talking about kind of what I'm doing. Then I had these whole bunch of investors started reaching out to me and asking me if I want to sell if I can help them build their portfolio. So from there, I started a turnkey company. I didn't have goals to do that. I didn't have plans to do that, but then it just happened. I just happened to be on Bigger Pockets podcast. And then I started selling turnkey properties. From there, I ended up starting my own property management company. And then, now we do, I would say like 50-50 turnkey versus your retail fix and flip, maybe like 45 and 10% wholesale.
Okay.
Right.
And how many are you doing a year now?
We did 30 last year, but the goal this year is to do at least 50. So we've revamped our team.
How big is your team?
We have 2 cold callers. We have 4 VAs in Philippines, my acquisition person, and we just hired a local lead manager in Indiana, and then a project manager in Indiana. My project manager right now actually lives in California, in Escondido, I believe, and she's managing everything from Escondido in Indiana, and she hasn't been to Indiana in like a year and a half. So she's doing an amazing job, but we're getting to the point where we want to scale our business. We're going to have someone local. So we just hired 2 more people, the local lead manager and the local project manager. And then the acquisition manager has always been local.
Dude, so you got a lot going on. You got, your rental portfolio, you got your fix and flips, you got your turnkey business, you got your property management business, you got Resimply, probably some other stuff too. I
have wife and kids also.
Wife and kids too, which those are a full-time job in terms of time. Like you need to have time there too. So, tell me, like, it's pretty impressive because most people, you seem like a pretty technical person, right. But at the same time, you're building these different businesses. A business can only be successful if it has a good leader, if it has someone who's at least somewhat good at sales or good at communication, whatever it is.
Right.
Because if you can't do any of those, then it's going to be pretty hard to put a business together and influence people. So are you just master of all, or like, how do you find yourself?
No, dude, I don't read as much as I used to, but it's like sometimes you read a certain book and it has a huge influence on your life that you don't realize at that point. But when you look back on, how your life has evolved, you're like, oh yeah, and it was probably because of the book that I read. So like Millionaire Real Estate Investor, if I hadn't read that book, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. And then another book that I read was, Michael Gerber, E-Myth Revisited. Yeah. So, and I'm like, man, this is again, I want to follow a process. So I started making processes on, my goal always was to like step away from the business, like have a choice of stepping away if I wanted to. So I started building those processes in the business. So, and then again, another book that I read was The One Thing, and that was real big eye opener for me, just realizing, okay, I'm only going to be good at like a couple of things and I need to just focus on that. Like, just something as simple as I have an app on my phone and I have 4 or 5 things I need to do on a daily basis for me to say I had a good day. It's not result oriented, it's just activity driven. So as long as I do these things, that means I did everything I needed to do. Whether the results go in my favor or not, that's not up to me. So again, that idea came from The One Thing. It's just like, you just need to basically try to come up with, look at the smallest or the first domino that, you can topple over. So I just look at those simple things and I do a lot of time blocking. So if I'm working on, like right now, my phone is switched out. It's on airplane mode, so nobody can call me. My wife, my kids know that, I'm in a call, not to stalk me on any, for anything. If a house is on fire, one of my rental properties, there's absolutely nothing I can do. I've given that control to the people to, there's no point calling me to tell me here the house is on fire. Like we actually had 2 fires over Christmas and New Year's. And my team didn't tell me until like a week or 2 later when, I had to sign some documents for insurance. But that's perfect. Like that's how I want it to be. Because if they call me, there's nothing I can do at that point. There's like, I have no control. I'm just going to start freaking out about it. I would rather they come up with some solutions. Hey, this is what happened. This is how we handled it. And this is what we're planning to do. Let us know if you disagree with it. So I think what's been really good with me is I've been fortunate, you can say, to have found good people. And then I can just delegate and say, okay, I want to do my one thing, but this is another one thing that needs to be done in the business. You do this and you be awesome at it, right? Just report to me, we'll track our data, KPIs, make sure everything is moving in the right direction so we can track our numbers. But as long as the numbers are moving in the right direction, you do what you're good at, I'll do what I'm good at. And then, we'll, as a team, we'll accomplish some great things.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I've been trying to focus on this year too.
That's in theory. Things always go wrong. Things always go wrong, but that's in theory, as like, that's always the goal that we're trying to do, is just finding the right people for the right position.
Of course. Yeah. This year I've really shifted my focus to take my hands off the wheel, so to speak, a lot more, because I'm a control freak. I like to have things be as perfect as possible. I like to execute with as much excellence as possible, but that's just hard to do. I mean, we've been kicking ass and doing great, but the short story of that is I've realized if I can empower other people to excel and be phenomenal and focus on that, it's only going to help everyone out more, including myself. Yeah. And so I've done that a lot more, and giving control of things up to others. And man, I've seen way better results and people feeling empowered and, feeling sense of responsibility. It's just, it's the best way to do it. So it comes down to leadership. Like you were saying, you're reading different books and learning about the different processes. If you put those things in place, it can really make an amazing impact. So, so how did you decide so walk me back in 2010, were you in Ontario?
No, I was in Chicago. So I went to school. I moved here from India in 2001. Jan of 2001 when I moved here. So I went to school in New York. That's where I moved. I got a degree in accounting. I moved to Chicago for my job, and my wife also. So we were in long distance. So we met 2 months before I was going to move from India. Yeah. So we were in like true long distance.
She was in India too?
She was in India.
Woo!
Yeah. So that was like, you talk about long distance not working, dude, we made it work. So we didn't see, like after I moved, we didn't see each other for 3 years after I moved here. And this was like, we're talking through a time where now you can do WhatsApp call, FaceTime calls. That wasn't there,
it was like distance in college. So my wife and I are high school sweethearts.
Nice.
We were apart for 4 years, but we could drive to each other. We were 3 hours away.
Okay.
You were a whole continent away. Like,
yes. Oh yeah. We literally used to write letters to each other because that was the least expensive way to stay in touch. Dude, we still have those letters, and when we read them now, we're like, oh man, I can't believe we wrote this stuff to each other. It's just, but yeah. So I moved in 2005 August or September to Chicago. My wife moved there for school also in December 2005. And then, I worked for a few years. Then I started looking at, okay, I have some money saved up. What could I do with this money? And that's when, like, for being a poker player, investing in stocks and whatnot. And then real estate happened. And then in 2015, August 2015, we moved to Carlsbad, San Diego. And I still had a very active investing business. And if I hadn't moved out of Chicago, I probably wouldn't have started recently. It was because I moved out and I felt, okay, I still have this business, I really need some systems to manage everything. When you're so close to the business, sometimes you don't realize that you might be doing something very inefficiently, but you just keep doing it just because it's working, even though it's a very inefficient way to do that. I'll give an example. Like when I used to live in Chicago, I used to live in downtown Chicago. My properties were about 40 to 45 minutes drive max from downtown Chicago. So when I was living in Chicago, if my plumber called or HVAC guy called and said, okay, we have a leak or the furnace is not working, I would drive over because that's how I'm supposed to do things.
Yeah.
So once I moved to Carlsbad, I did not have that option, right? I said, okay, all right, how about you call me on a video, walk me through on what's going on, right? I don't need to be, or send me, a video on WhatsApp or something so I can see what's going on. I could have done the exact same thing being in Chicago, but, moving to California kind of forced me to. And then I started looking at other systems on, managing our marketing, managing our team, calling, direct mail, and doing all these things, managing our projects. And, I have an accounting background, so managing our financials. And I looked at, well, I would need this, I would need this, I would need this. And even after I have all these software, they don't really talk to each other. I might be doing one thing in one software, the other software would have no idea what's going on. Like I could use some Zapier or whatnot, but it's still not as seamless or as intuitive as it should be. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to create something for myself that works specific to my business. So the first version of Recently was just project management, like creating scope of work, very project driven, very scope of work contractor driven. And then as we started scaling our marketing, I'm like, okay, I'm doing some marketing, so I need to be able to track my leads as they're coming in. I'm calling them, so I want to track where the calls are coming in. So it just started kind of evolving. So I started the company, I think in 2016 or early 17. But we didn't let anybody start using Recently until like 2 years or 2.5 years after. Just I wanted to test it for
Did you
some
start
time.
it with the intent of making it available to other people or just for your business?
Eventually the goal was, yes, it would be great if somebody else used it. But then the worst case scenario I looked at was, okay, even if nobody else used it and I'm getting value out of it, it's still worth it, right? Even if like nobody else sees value in it and I see value, it works for the business that I have, it's great. Then I started using, I started using it and I was part of a couple of masterminds, and I would show people what I'm doing and they were like, oh, this is cool. Can I use it? So I would literally like set up their account manually, say, okay, here's the login, your password login, let me know what you think it's working, what's not working. So just keep evolving from there to what it is now.
Yeah. Did you, what was that minimal viable product? What did that look like?
Oh, it was a piece of shit, man. you talk about like, if you're not embarrassed with your minimum viable product, like you waited too long. Oh, dude, I was beyond embarrassed.
It was just a step better than a paper napkin.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was just like a lot of, once you start working with developers and whatnot, there's like a whole different business side of it. When you start out, you just think, oh, I have this idea in my mind. I'm going to tell the developers, I'm going to tell these people to do something. They're going to just do it, and it's going to come out exactly how I want it to. Yeah. But it, of course, it never happens that way. They would do something and it just, I didn't realize like I would have a vision in my mind and I would tell the developers and they would have a completely different idea of what needs to be done. They would create something. I'm like, no, that's not what I talked about. I'm just how can I be, I cannot be any clearer than this on what I need. They're like, no, it doesn't make sense. And then, it just like evolved. And, once they created something, it looked like how I wanted it. Then we're like, oh, this is good. Like we can use it. But then, we're like, no, we have to have QA team tested. It just goes from so many iterations. Then, you start reading books, you talk to other people. But yeah, the initial minimum viable product, like even I remember there was another software company founder that I was talking to. Even like he made a crack at it saying, dude, like it basically said, this is really a piece of shit, like this is not, you shouldn't even call it an MVP. This is just, it's not even an M yet. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, I need to go back and just keep improving it. So, but then once we got to the point, I think it's like, you remember like the pre 2.0 version that we had, it was like very basic. We had those columns and then just, you could enter leads, you couldn't drag and drop, you had to go in and then just select. It was like, there was a lot of steps involved, but it was getting things done, but not in the most efficient manner. So once, the very, very early version was based on how I was using it in my business. Like I'd never assigned a deal in my life until like a year ago. So there was, in the initial version, there was not even a column of assigned to buyer because I'd never done that.
Yeah.
And then once people started using it, they're like, oh, can you add a column assigned to buyer? I'm like, yeah, I can't believe I missed that. But I wasn't doing it in my business, so there was never a need for that. Then we had other people like you coming along saying, hey, we're doing TV, we're doing YouTube ads. So we started adding those, uh, things about, those lead sources. And then, you gave the idea about repeat caller based on the role. So those were some of the things that I wasn't doing it in my business. So when we initially created it, it was just based on what I was doing. But now, before we roll out something, we reach out to people and just share, hey, this is kind of what we think you're doing. What do you think? This makes sense or not? So we're not rolling something out based on kind of what I think would be the best. So now we're very feedback driven.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, not to go down a big long story, but I mean, how I found Simply was actually through Chris Arnold.
Oh yeah. So yeah, so I'm part of his mastermind.
Yeah, he was talking about doing radio for advertisements, and so I went through that program, and at the very end of it, he just had this one little short video talking about, oh, by the way, if you're looking for a CRM, here's one that you should check out, and here's I was like, I've never heard of these guys before, and I was just right in the middle of doing a ton of research trying to find which CRM I should go with, because almost laughably, but almost maybe I'll pop myself on the back too. Kind of impressive too. For all of 6 years, we were using Google Sheets for our CRM.
I remember when you signed up, we looked at your Google Sheet and I said, yeah, you could remove some of these processes. I remember that. Yeah. That's impressive, man. For the volume that you guys do, to be able to do that on Google Drive, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we just had a simple Google Sheet, essentially a spreadsheet that would track, what the status of the lead was, what the date was it first came in, the person's name, their phone number, the address, some details about the lead, the purchase price we're looking to talk about. So I knew I needed a CRM bad.
Right.
And I literally had 2 failed implementations of Podio.
Right.
Because I looked around, I saw people that had pre-built Podio systems out of the box, or at least they called them out of the box. But I noticed as soon as I signed up and got access, the amount of customization I was going to have to do was going to be insane. Yep. And I immediately, just knowing how I am and knowing how I would have gone to the nth degree configuring and customizing it, I stopped right away.
There's never an end to that. It's funny, like, there's some Podio. There's still a lot of people use Podio. I would say most of the people that switch to Recently come from Podio, and they're using CallRail or some combination of that. And then now, we're actually talking to another big investor. He and I were in the same mastermind, and he was trying to use Salesforce, like a customized version of Salesforce, running into the same issue. I think he spent about 8,000 to 10,000 to this point, and he hasn't even been able to use it because people don't realize this.
I wonder if we know the same person, because I just had the same conversation. Another program built on Salesforce.
Yep.
He spent about that much money. Yep. They've been working on it for 6 to 8 months. And he's like, what I'm seeing so far, I want nothing to do with it. So he's like, tell me more about Simply.
Yeah. So he emailed me. I had done a demo with him like before we went live with 2.0, actually a month before 2.0. Yeah, in like May of last year. And I told him, yeah, we're going to come out with 2.0. And he had heard of some other 2.0 release. Freaked out, like, I don't want to be part of this. I'm going to look for something else. So he was looking at like a system built on Salesforce. He emailed me this week saying, dude, I've hired developers to do customization. I still haven't been able to use it. And I said, yeah, I mean, let's just jump on a call. That's the thing, like, people don't realize. I mean, yes, there's a great, thing about customization, but sometimes, you don't really need customization just for the sake of having it. Sometimes it's better to have things that are pre-built, because then there's less chance of things breaking down.
Yeah.
The more integration you do, more things are going to break down. That's a given. One software would change one part in their system, it would break your entire system down. So that's why we decided, we don't allow any customization, as you're obviously aware that with the column, but we have a reason in mind, and we're working towards that goal of the vision that we want to go towards. Like there's a reason why we have a very clear reason, a vision of why we want it that way. And like in 4 to 6 months we'll go live with that, with kind of what we've been working in. And then that's, in my opinion, it's going to give an amazing advantage to somebody who uses the platform that we built, because the amount of data that they will be able to get about the business, like it's impossible to get it from any other platform. Like for real estate investor, that's the part that I feel comfortable with. And that was like, once we realized, oh, this could be something, we're like, okay, man, let's just make it the most amazing software that we can. And just, it's a very, like, our goal was, we were very intentional about naming it Simply, because we wanted the front end to be very simple to use, but the back end is very, very sophisticated with how everything is linked in, But like, even when you look at how the accounting piece is linked in, it's like you cannot do that with QuickBooks. It's impossible to get the data that we can provide. You cannot do that with QuickBooks or any other software. It's impossible to do that. But that's what we do different. That's what we want to be able to provide and say, okay, this is the part that we can provide, and we're working towards something that we think, in my opinion, I've talked to you about this a little bit, that I think is going to just completely change, like literally revolutionize how you look at that part of the business, because it's not possible with any other software. That's the stuff I get excited about. It's not like we're not necessarily competing to be the CRM per se, but we want to be like a software for real estate investor that's going to add value to their business beyond just managing leads.
Yeah. And if I'm trying to be fair to, the other softwares out there and not just us, sound biased, because we both love Simply for obvious reasons. Some people are successful with Podio. Some people are successful with Salesforce, but like you highlighted, it wasn't built for real estate. It wasn't built for the exact precise, actions that we're taking within our business. So with that, you got to kind of bend and flex those systems and integrate on them to try to make them do things they're not supposed to. And like you said, with all those just extra things piled on, it's not going to work quite the way you'd expect it to from a natural flow. And it's just going to be clunky. And with Simply, you just started, with a blank slate. And I don't know, you went to a completely different platform when you switched to 2.0. And it seemed like it added a lot of scalability and flexibility on the platform. The stuff that the system does is pretty insane. And I geek out and nerd out on what I think is the sexiest part, which is how all the KPIs come together.
Oh, yeah.
Because the number one thing when I was evaluating these other systems was I just want to be able to track my KPIs. Because again, like Google Sheets, where I was tracking all my leads, I also had another Google Sheet to track all my KPIs. So no joke, a direct mail call would come in. I wouldn't know it was direct mail yet.
Right.
I would go search my master list of all my
lists. I remember we talked about that.
I would find the address.
Super manual process.
I would then go to another Google Sheet and find, okay, it's this campaign. Right. And then I would change it from one call to 2 calls.
Yep.
Like that was painful. It's as manual as it gets.
Right.
And with Simply, obviously, because the way it's been developed, all of that is so integrated to where a call comes in, you can even have it set up like we do, where it shows the caller ID and I'll see direct mail, absentee list. Right.
Yeah. So, you need to pick up the call. Right.
I know who's calling now. So I pick it up. I don't have to also go into the system and mark it. It automatically marks it that it's that lead. It marks it in the KPI section. All the money that we spent on that campaign is entered into the system. It just tracks everything. So all your cost per lead, cost per deal, everything is literally tracked automatically is mind-boggling to me. And to get even sexier, if you could even get sexier, the ability that you added recently where you can actually click, like those KPIs are clickable and you can you can drill down to see like, oh, I've got 5 deals from this direct mail absentee list.
Right.
Well, what deals were those again? Oh, well, I'm going to
Yep.
click on it. I don't have to go try to filter through the system. It tells me right there what they were. I could even click into there to see what the results were on it. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, dude. No, I mean, like, again, to your point, there's a lot of people. I mean, I'm by no means saying like people need simply to be successful. There's like, I mean, a lot of people doing amazing things, just literally with pen and paper. I mean, and then like you were using Google Sheets and the amount of business that you were doing. So it just, for me, the whole goal was, I want to be able to log into one system and just run my business. I don't want to do this integration, that integration, go into this system to look at my financial, that system to do that. And then everything should be integrated. So that's what we started with. That was our goal. I want everybody on my team to be on one system, and that's it. That's all that we want. And that's the goal we're working towards is, that everybody on our team, even down to like project managers, should be using Simply. That's a little bit further away, but at least for this year we have pretty exciting things that we're working on, and just get up every day, and I feel excited about just getting up every day and just like working towards that. And then obviously, a lot of the things that we're doing right now, I cannot take credit. It's like because of people like you giving us ideas on, hey, it would be cool if it could do this, it could do that. That's the only way we can keep improving, because my experience is going to be limited based on kind of what I'm doing in my business. But, somebody like you comes along and says, hey, it'd be cool if it does that. Like, the idea about routing based on the role. I didn't think of this, but because that was not a need for us based on our business process. But you're like, it'd be really cool if it did that. I'm like, yeah, it's going to add a lot of value to a lot of people. And we did that. And then that's like one of the features that people absolutely love, that they can repeat call based on the role for that lead.
Absolutely. I think that's pretty unique to probably most systems out there. I mean, there's probably no owner of Podio you can call and ask to, configure things or have design enhancements and stuff like that. Even if you go get a pre-built Podio, what do they call it? Like module or whatever they call it. It's pretty much out of the box, and what you do from there is up to you. It's not really, it's out of the designer's hands from that point. So with you, you're willing to be open and receive feedback from everybody, which I think is extremely powerful, because at the end of the day, you're going to get different perspectives from different people, and some ideas will be good, some ideas won't be good, and some ideas will blend together to make a really good one. Absolutely. And so, I mean, I've just noticed continued improvement from the system since we started using it. And we started, I think it was September, October 2019. Right. And from there, it's just, I mean, it's been insane. We love it. I mean, it's part of our everyday, everything we do. I mean, the number of systems we've eliminated to have to use, right? Just the efficiency that we have, being able to talk throughout the team, right? All the notifications we get as leads come in, it's just so much more organized, so much more streamlined.
Thank you, man.
And I actually know what's going on in the business.
Right.
Like I truly know what's going on.
That's the important thing, man. Like, as we have changed some personnel in our real estate team, so I'm like more involved in my real estate flipping business. So I use Recently every single day. Like, I'm on there checking, on my team, and I mean, of course, I'm going to be biased. I'm talking about my kids. So I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. I could do that. But at the same time, I do notice inefficiencies also that, we have on our roadmap. But when I look at, man, it's pretty cool. I can do this. I can talk to on a same call, I can talk to my lead manager, my acquisition manager, my project manager, and my bookkeeper, and also like my disposition. That's pretty amazing to me, that I don't have to jump in different system, and everybody can be on the same system and talk the same language. So to me, that's the exciting part. Like, we have everybody on our team using the same system, except, use a different cold calling platform. But, so, and then it's all integrated. So I like that part, and I use it. And that was the idea. Like, if it's not something that I was from a different industry. I created something that I thought would be good for real estate investors, and I had no idea. It literally started out, hey, what would I want to do in my business? What would I want the system to look like where it would add value? And that's what we do. Like, if you have some doubt about something, we would just put it on our Facebook group. Hey, what do you think? Like the other day we asked about the pinned comment. Should everybody see or should you only see? Everybody voted, yeah, it should be visible to everybody. So that's the change we're going to make. It's going to go live on Monday or Tuesday. And that's it, just plain and simple, because that's what we want to keep doing is, I might do something based on my idea of how people would want to use, but then people give us feedback. No, dude, you completely missed the boat on that. It should work this way.
Yeah. So that real-time feedback is powerful to like continue to enhance and improve, especially as technology changes and
absolutely.
what we expect from how it to work, so just from how we've been using it over the past 2 years, it's changed and moved as technology has as well, which is awesome. So I guess maybe we should highlight just a couple things about what ReSimply does if people are watching this for the first time and don't know about it. Let's highlight just some of the features. We won't go in a big, some long story about all of them. And of course, you can go to, resimply.com/Dean. You guys can check out, see a demo of ReSimply. You can see some videos about it. And if you use that link right there, until Sunday, you actually get a 50% off the first month. After that, if you're watching on the replay and it's past Sunday, it'll be a little bit lower than that. But yeah, you can go there and check it out. So maybe I'll kick it off just from some of the things I'm excited about with ReSimply and how it simplifies things is, it's that all-in CRM, all-in-one CRM that is focused on real estate. So, when you go into it, everything you would want to see and know about a lead is right there in your face, from the address to the contact information for the seller, to where the lead source was and the campaign it was for, to all the activity log of what's taking place from calls to text messages with the seller and, all the conversations between your team. And then of course, all the details about the property too. So, starting with that, like how did you piece together knowing what all needed to be there?
I think it started with us, like essentially, if you think of ReSimply, it's built on an accounting software and everything is built on top of it. Because like when you once you go from a transaction point of, and that's, that's the goal that we're working towards. And those things are going to start coming together on how we built everything on an accounting software. And then everything is like basically integrated in that, because the data part is really important. So if you look at, for example, the way, when you buy a phone number, right, you assign it a specific lead, specific campaign. There is a very, important reason behind, because it ties with your accounting part also. So you can't just create random campaigns like you could do in Podio, just create like unlimited campaigns, because then, after a certain point, you lose the importance of creating campaigns, because you just keep creating campaigns just for the sake of creating campaigns.
Yeah.
So that was a reason that, if you're creating a campaign, it should have a significance in it. It should mean something. So think of ReSimply as an accounting system that we started with, and then you have the leads, the CRM part of it. I would say like everybody that uses ReSimply, 100% of the people use the CRM part of it, right? Then you have the phone system that is deeply integrated with the CRM. So a typical investor might be using Podio and CallRail. So when you come in, you can completely eliminate that. You don't need any of that. It's just built in seamlessly. So you don't need to go into another system to listen to your calls, to make calls, or do any of that. You can just do that all from within ReSimply. And then you add the list stacking part of it. So you can stack your list, and those list stacking is deeply integrated with the leads. So if you have a lead come in, you enter 123 Main Street, we'll look in the list stacking to see if it's already in some of your lists. So next time when you're doing marketing, you're not marketing to somebody that's already a lead in the system.
Right.
So once you've done your marketing, you have the lead, and then you move it along the transaction. Then the next part is the disposition side, which we added a couple of months ago with the update. So now you can upload your buyers database, you can email blast them, text blast them, and you can also do the CRM is integrated with the buyer. So when you add a buyer to a lead, it also updates the buyer contact information, so you can go to the buyer detail and see how many deals you've actually done with the buyer. And we're working on the disposition side of it. So in the next update in a month or so, we're going to add side of the business. So we're going to have a dispo tab. I think I shared with you guys on a call. We're going to have a dispo tab, so you can also start managing people that are interested in the property. You might have one buyer that's actually buying, but there might be 5 other buyers that submitted offers. So you can also manage those. So it's like marketing side, you have the list tracking, then you do the sales, the lead management side. So we have the CRM, the drip campaign, I would say, is like one of the most widely used features. Is it automates 90% of the things that you need to do. Yeah. Again, a lot of this done you can do without a software also, but then you have to keep reminding yourself, oh, I need to call this lead, I need to text this lead. Now imagine all of that happening in the background, all the text, RVM, email, direct mail, just automatically going out without you thinking about it. And once you have a lead in your pipeline, you want to send a contract to them, you can just do e-sign to them, and you get a property under contract, you can text blast or email blast to your buyers. Once you've done that, then you can move it to inventory. Like we do a lot of projects, so you can manage the project side of it.
Yeah. So what you said there about it being built on the accounting software is probably one of the things that makes it so great, is because, like you said, everything's done with a purpose.
Right.
And the end goal is to be able to track the performance of your business. So like you highlighted, which most people wouldn't think of first off, but when it comes to managing your buyers and seeing who's interested in properties, you can see the activity of your buyers and track which buyers are buying properties from you. Exactly. You can go look at the results. Like I'm going to go look at, ABC company, and I can see they bought 10 properties from me. These are the list of the 10 properties they bought from me. These are the prices, and this is the average price that they're buying at, right? So it's like, it's pretty powerful at the end of the day.
Yeah, like you want to know, like somebody might be submitting a bunch of offers, but if they have like 10 contingencies, you want to know, are they putting offers with contingencies? Are they putting offers with no contingency, cash offer, quick close? So, when you are buying properties, you buy with this intention of, okay, I want to buy cash, quick close, no contingency. But when you're selling, you want to make sure of those things also on the other buyer side also. Yep. So those are the things we're going to, implement in the disposition side of it. So when you get an offer, you can see, okay, is this a clean offer, or do they have inspection contingency? It's like we have a property on the market that's on the market. We got an offer of 55 and we got another offer of 47.5. We accepted the 47.5 because it had no contingency. The 55 offer was a blind offer somebody submitted and said it's contingent on a walkthrough, and this property has already fell out of contract a couple of times. We're like, you know what? We don't want to deal with the contingency offer anymore. When somebody's not even looked at it. We would rather take 47.5. That's in the money right now. That's sure deal. Then take 55 with the hope of it falling out of a contract again. So those are the things you want to know. Those are the things that at the end of the day, you might be doing a lot of deals where you think, oh, my top line revenue is $1 million, for example, but nobody cares about that number except, your ego. The important number is like, how much money did you take home at the end of the day? Right? Did you take home 100,000? Or did you take home 300,000? So that's our goal. Is we want investors to make higher net profit. It's great if they're including their top line number, but if I ask you, is it more important to make $1 million in revenue but have net of 100,000, or would you rather make 900,000 and have a net of 250,000? Right. It's just a simple thing, and that's the goal we're working towards, where we can start doing data analytics and start giving a decision. Hey, you should not be investing in this. If you have another dollar to invest, do not invest in this, invest in this. You're going to get the highest ROI back into the business. That's the exciting part. I think that's where we add value in terms of, what we can do, where we can take the business forward, rather than just saying, oh, we're going to add this new feature, that new feature.
Yeah, and that's what's been so exciting for us this past year as we've continued to see more and more growth is we focus just on that net income number.
Yep.
That's all we're looking at. We talk about it every single month on what did we do for the month. Our team may receive bonuses depending upon what our results were. So we're all driving towards that same number, and it's made possible because of the details that come out of Resimply. Yeah. And then the decisions that we make going forward on where do we pour more gasoline, where do we back off, is all dependent on those KPIs and looking at the real data on where we spent money, where money came in from.
Exactly.
And it's pretty wild. So
that's the most important thing at the end of the day it's essentially a marketing business, right? Once you stop doing marketing, you're not making any money, more or less. So the most important number that, I would look at it, for every dollar that I put in, how much money is coming back? That's it. That's if I'm putting $1 in and I'm getting $5 back versus another business that I put $1 in and I get $3 back, why would I not want to put more money into, that $5 return that I can get?
Yeah. And then you can also see if you're putting more money into it and it's getting diminishing returns or it's getting more returns.
Exactly.
That's something that you can see real time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, it's the geeky stuff, but for us, the goal is to make it super simple. So people don't have to worry about doing this. It just happens for them and they have this data, to use. Whether they use it or not, that's up to them. But our goal is to provide them that data, just put it in front of them so they can make better decisions.
Yeah. I'd say probably one of the most powerful kind of testimonials I could give from myself is the simplification of how you designed everything. So for me, again, I signed up for Podio 2 separate times. The first time, just a straight Podio account that was from scratch. The second time was a pre-built one from another well-known, extremely successful investor. When I got it in my hands, I was like, this is it? This is the pre-built version. Are you sure? Because I can't do anything on it. And I have so much configuration I have to do to be able to even start working on it. And there's no blueprint, there's no roadmap. Whereas if you want to start using Google Drive or Gmail, where you might go to YouTube and watch a video, but most people just go create an account and they start using it because it's simple. It's user friendly. With Resimply, I got an account, signed up, and just dove right in. I did a demo with your team to kind of, I think I was quizzing you, seeing where you guys were at, where you guys were going, and understand the meaning behind things. And from there, it was a super easy decision for me to move forward on it. And then I just started configuring it. It maybe took me a week or less while actively still working in the business and doing all the daily stuff. And then we were up and running on it, and we just, turned on the lights and started getting calls and started making calls from there and running the leads. So
that's our tagline used to be work on deals, not on Podio, because it's just even now we have people switching from Podio, and then it's amazing when we import their data over, what condition it's in, they might have 1,000 leads and they have 500 campaigns for those 1,000 leads. Then there's no, there's no importance of those campaigns, for example, the data is all over the place. So that was our purpose. I understand some people ask us, hey, can I customize this? And we say, no, there's a reason behind it, why we don't allow it, because we built it with an end goal in mind. That's what we're working towards. And, once we explain people kind of what our reason and vision, people get it. They're like, yeah, this makes sense. And once people start using it, we have investors like you, we have, a team from Phoenix doing over 300 deals a year. I mean, they get it, they see, I don't have to make it complicated. If it can be done in a simple way, why not? If everybody's on the same page, and as long as things are getting done, nothing gets slipped through the crack. That's the important thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, again, people can do this, somebody starting out, literally, look, this is, even though I own a tech company, this is what I do outside of what I'm doing on a daily basis. This is where I would make notes, and this is how I do, ideation part of it, because this is what works for me for that part of the business. Somebody starting out could do that, with a pen and a paper, but it's a very manual process. If you want to scale, you will need a system, you don't have to get recently, like, what you were doing with Google Sheets, you could do that. But,
Yeah.
the goal at the end of the day, the goal is to how much work can you automate, not just on the lead follow-up, like look beyond that, on the data tracking, on the marketing side, on the, on the KPI tracking, like just look at the holistic view of the business and see, okay, what all can I automate, and not just like, the drip campaign part of it, where it's just a seller automation as a seller follow-up is automated.
Yeah, and the sooner you can automate that stuff, the better.
Oh yeah,
because
yep.
you're gonna prevent yourself from having bad habits. You're gonna spend more time working, on the business rather than in the business, yep, doing the little painful things. I mean, the amount of time I spent setting up the campaigns, sending them out, then tracking it in my Google Sheet, typing it all in there, to receiving the calls on Google Voice, and then searching where it came from and going back. It was just super painful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Painful. Like just the ROI on your time and money when you look at it, just if you can automate all of that, just imagine how much time it frees up for you to just think about scaling your business. That's the power it gives you, is like you get your time back essentially, rather than doing all these things manually on your own. Just imagine all of this is happening automatically. Like you just go in, search for a phone number, buy it, give it a lead source, a campaign. You just literally within a minute you can start receiving calls.
Yeah.
You don't have somebody calls you, it's in the system, call recording, all the text, everything, and you can just put them on a drip like as soon as you miss a call. Like just imagine all the follow-up that you don't have to go in and do now. It's just happening on your own, and just it's happening. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, which is crazy, because just the way you would have to manually do it before was just a big waste of time. So yeah, man, that's super simple. How big is your team now? You've got a big team of developers, right?
Yeah, we have a big team of developers, and we have a big team of support team also as we're growing. That's something we take pride in. And I talk to my support team all the time, just letting them know, guys, at the end of the day, we could have an amazing product, but if our customer support sucks, nobody really cares about it.
Oh yeah.
Just think of the experience that you would want from a product. That's the experience you want to provide. Like sometimes people get surprised, like when somebody asks a question, most of the time we literally make a custom Loom video for them. We don't just send them a link, hey, check out here, we have a help page. Like a lot of time I will jump on, I'll make a video and send it to them. That's because then it makes me feel special if I got a custom video from, let's say, we use Slack in our business. Imagine like I get some, personal video from somebody in Slack saying, hey, this is how you can do it. I'm like, holy crap, this is amazing. They literally made that video for me, not for anybody else. So that's what, it's a simple things that we want to focus on with our support team. And of course we have our development. I mean, that's not to say we have had more than our fair share of challenges, but that's part of any business. As you're scaling, there's going to be some hiccups. But as long as we're making progress on a daily basis, then everybody feels good about it. And there's going to be some good days, some bad days, but that's part of any business.
So that's worth highlighting right there, because it is pretty nuts, the amount of support you guys do give. Because I know if I have a specific question or I need help with something, like you said, you actually come back with a live Loom video asking like, well, hey, were you talking about this? Is this what you were looking for? Or exactly what I was asking, and here's the solution. Here's how you do that. And that's, how many times do you try to use some sort of software out there, whether it's an app or something on the computer, and you get stuck and you have no way of finding support? No way of finding support. And if you do try to get support, you're calling, some number, and you're on hold for a long time. You probably don't get the answer you're looking for. You're talking to some robot. It's just painful to get good support these days. And the people that do a great job, like you guys, makes a big impact on people sticking around.
That absolutely, that's important for us. Like one of the metrics that we track on our business on a daily basis is like we actually have, I think we're the only company that we have a phone number that we give people. They can call us, they can do live chat, they can do email, and of course Zoom call. And then one of the things that we track is like we should have zero voicemails that we have not, zero voicemail that basically 100% of the calls have been returned. That's one of the things we track. So before my team logs off, they have to message me and saying every single call that came in has been answered back, because that's what we want to make sure. Somebody calls us back, we don't want them to feel like, oh, nobody called them back. Like, they have to call them back before the end of the day. Otherwise, the day is not over. And again, like we want to jump on a Zoom call, but we're hiring more people on the support team to make sure when people need support, we jump on a call with them and answer those questions. And then we're also starting to get our team trained on a little bit on the business side of real estate, not just on the tech side. So they can, somebody who's starting out might need some, might have some questions on, hey, what are the best practices? Then we can also guide them a little bit. This is what, for example, this is how I might be using it. And, and then they can share, this is how, like, Sharad is using it in his business. Here's a video that he made. You might find value in it.
Right. Well, awesome, man. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, they can on Resimply, they can email me at sharad@resimply.com. So it's SHARAD@RESIMPLI.com. Or they can message me on Facebook. I don't check Facebook as often. Like, maybe I'll check every other day or so. But yeah, email, I check every day. Or, if they have questions about Resimply, they can go to resimply.com and talk. They can email us at support@resimply or text us. And, if it's something that I need to answer, then it'll get to me same day and I'll get back to somebody. Otherwise, if it's a general question about demo or anything, then somebody from my team will be more than happy to do that.
Awesome. Well, as I said earlier, guys, if you're interested in Resimply, it's something that we use and absolutely love. You guys can go to resimply.com/Dean. If you're watching the replay, we'll have it up on the screen. We've got it in the chat right now. If you sign up before Sunday, you get 50% off the first month. If you sign up after that, it'll be slightly below that. We'll figure out what the number is before we post it up.
And that YouTube discount is not available on our website, just FYI. So they will have to sign up through that link in order to get the discount. But if they go directly to our website, that discount is not available. Yeah.
So you guys can go to resimply.com/Dean. Check that out. And awesome, man. Yeah. Thanks for spending time with us. I know you're a busy man. You got a lot of stuff going on, but what I love about you is you always find some time to make yourself available, right? This is something you're passionate about. You said it's like your baby. So you want to love and nurture it and take care of it. And we care about it. Probably not as much as you, but we definitely care about it too.
Yeah, sure. I would say you're pretty close. Of anybody else, I know you're pretty close. You're like it's a stepdad that wants to step in and kick me out.
That's right. Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me on the call, man.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Myself or Sharad are happy to answer any questions, and hope this was valuable to you guys. And until next time, peace.
Thank you, guys.